What's up, BookTube? Sandy back here with this video, and this one's going to be a little bit more of a casual type of video. I'm just going to kind of vlog a little bit. I'm going to start doing I'm going to start doing more reading type vlogs, just kind of give progress updates on the reading that I'm doing in week, just to give people a little bit of a flair for what I'm reading and how it's going, and hopefully it'll be more candid about just how the book is progressing that I'm reading, that I'm currently reading right now. Now, many of you know that have been following the channel, you knew that I was going to do a buddy read about the last story of Mina Lee, and I just did that. We just finished that buddy read, Margaret and I. Go check out Margaret's channel if you saw my last video, or one of my recent videos, I should say, and we just discussed it. We had a really good discussion about that particular book. So, yeah, it was just kind of fun to just informally talk about a book and then have a chance to do it in a period as a video itself was kind of fun too, because I don't really get a chance to talk to enough people who are into reading and just to talk to a lot of people about books. So that was what made that buddy read even more fun than I even expected it to be. And I expected it to be pretty fun. So hopefully I'll get a chance to do more of those in the future. And if those of you out there want to hook up and do some buddy reads and then talk about it and do some analysis of it, I'm certainly open to that possibility. So I say all that to say that I decided on the next book that I'm going to read, and it's a book that I've been talking about for a while, and that is FantasticLand. And so Mike Bockoven is the author. And so this is a book that I stumbled across on Amazon. And a lot of times when I'm on Amazon, I'll go through and I'm looking for a certain type of book, right? And then I find that certain type of book, and then Amazon gives you, well, I don't know how they phrase it, but here are suggestions based on this book that you're looking at, the page of the book that you're on. And so you start to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. It's kind of like when you go on Amazon Prime and you start watching Amazon Prime videos, and you start getting deeper and deeper and deeper based on this video that you were looking at. And then you get suggestions, and then you look at the suggestions, and you get other suggestions, and you just keep going down and down and down, and you get deeper and deeper and deeper, and you start to realize that, damn, Amazon Prime's got a lot of videos in there. Well, it's the same is true with books. And so I was digging and digging and digging, and I finally came across FantasticLand. And if the funny thing about it is that at the time that I got FantasticLand, I actually was in the middle of a book buying moratorium, because your boy had been just going crazy buying books, and I needed to catch up on reading some of those books before acquiring more and more books. And so I don't remember what the threshold I gave for lifting the moratorium, but it was pretty high, and I'm sure by now I've accomplished that. But when I saw FantasticLand, I'm like, no, I got to get this. And so let me tell you a little bit about what FantasticLand is all about, because it really just kind of grabbed me pretty much right off the bat. So get ready for a struggle for survival in the unlikeliest of places. Prepare to visit FantasticLand. Since the 1970s, FantasticLand has been the theme park where fun is guaranteed. But when a hurricane ravages the Florida coast and isolates the park, the employees find it anything but fun. 5 weeks later, the authorities who rescue the survivors encounter a scene of horror. Photos soon emerge online of heads on spikes outside of rides, and viscera and human bones littering the gift shops, breaking records for hits, views, likes, clicks, and shares. How could a group of survivors, mostly teenagers, commit such terrible acts? Presented as a fact-finding investigation and a series of first-person interviews, FantasticLand pieces together the grisly series of events. Park policy was that the mostly college-age employees surrendered their electronic devices to preserve the authenticity of the FantasticLand experience. Cut off from the world and left on their own, the teenagers soon form rival tribes who viciously compete for food, medicine, social dominance, and even human flesh. This new social network divides the ravaged dreamland into territories ruled by the pirates, the shop girls, the freaks, and the mole people. If meticulously curated online personas can replace private identities, what takes over when those constructs are lost? FantasticLand is a modern take on Lord of the Flies meets Battle Royale, that probes the consequences of a society built online. And so when you think of how much of our lives are taking place online, I think that's what makes it even more interesting to me, beyond the obvious with the comparison to Lord of the Flies. And so that's why I was really interested in it. And when you think of the format, so you can see right there, I'm actually on interview 2, just getting ready to get going with that. It's really actually been kind of interesting to jump into it, and just having read the first interview of it, I'm really liking it. It kind of reminds me of the Stephen King book Carrie, for those of you who have ever read that. And so I'm excited. I feel like it's going to, for me as a former newspaper reporter, journalist, I think it's going to actually be somewhat appealing, even more so than maybe what it normally would be. And so that's part of the reason I'm really excited about jumping into it, because of those kinds of ways of storytelling, the first person narrative. And it's interesting because from a writing standpoint, I've rarely written first person narratives, which is something that I really would like to change, because it just seems like just an interesting storytelling way, because I've actually enjoyed reading first-person narratives over the years, even if I haven't always written some. In fact, I don't think I've written a first-person narrative story probably since my early college years, if not even before that, maybe when I was in high school. So that's something that's really been interesting, again, as a reader, but not as a writer, and I'm not really sure why that difference exists, but it does. And so I may have to change that at some point. But it's really interesting to get into it and just kind of get that first person narrative. And so just to go back and show you the first interview, it says interview number 1, Jessica Landis, FantasticLand historian, author of Fun is Guaranteed, and authorized history of FantasticLand. So you get kind of that retrospective feel, going back and looking at it in the kind of a documentary format. So that's what made it, I think, again, even more interesting to me. So I am glad I really finally started it. I was going to actually read it in the month of September, but then things always change from what your TBR is, that, at least for me, that I established, and then I end up going in a different direction. And so I was glad, because I got to a certain point in September, and I'm like, you know what? I think FantasticLand is going to be better for October. And so I decided to put it off till the month of October, because I thought, it just would be more appropriate. October being Halloween month, I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and move this to October. I'm glad I did so far, because I think this is going to end up being a very fun read, if not maybe creepy, but again, there's nothing wrong with that. I've got a number of these types of books on my TBR for the month of October, and that's what I was going for with the month of October. So just a really good start to this book, getting the initial background. Again, sometimes I'm a really fickle reader, and a lot of times if a book doesn't grab me right off the bat, even though I really, really, really try not to DNF books, I very rarely DNF books. I think I've only DNF'd one book. I think I've only DNF'd one book that I significantly read into so far this year. Another book that I almost DNF'd. I was like so close to DNFing. I actually came back and did finish reading it, and was mildly cool with the book. It wasn't as I realized by the time I got to the end why I nearly DNF'd it, and even though it ended up being a somewhat interesting book, it wasn't. I can see why I almost DNF'd it. So this one did a good job of grabbing me. And again, part of it is the format for sure, but also it really set the scene. And that's something I was really happy about, because I really like to get into it early. I don't like any dilly-dallying. I want to get right into the old saying, don't tell me about the labor, just show me the baby. That might not be super politically correct these days, but that's kind of how I feel about it now. Sometimes with a book, I like to just jump right into it and get right going with the story. And that's why this one is off to a really good start for me. So FantasticLand, I will continue to update you, because I am a slow reader, a notoriously slow reader, mainly because I have a lot of stuff going on. But I have worked on some reading strategies to improve my reading speed. And so I'm going to try to put that to the test, and actually that might end up being a video at some point down the line. But I have really worked on that to try to really speed up my reading, to be even more efficient and read even more books, even though I've already long ago beaten my Goodreads goal for reading for the year of 2020, with still a few months left. So that's where we are. Fantastic Land, off to a great start.